Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Sound check. Sound check. We can hear it. Thank you. Great. What are we doing today? How is everyone doing this evening? The dog is running around here. The beard. Good. Great. Great to hear that. So we finally launched our Sprint 2 patch. As you know, we are also working on huge steps in network optimization in almost every patch. That is also always a little bit of a stressful step. So we're working on a specific range, and when we hit those numbers, we plan to never touch that again, and be free from that worrying factor. We got a little bit of that in yesterday's patch. Just shortly after we launched the patch, we got a few issues on the server, but Sebastian and the guys managed to handle that quite quickly, so we're back on a normal state. But yeah, that's also an important part, as you know, when it comes to the server capacity and performance. We've gone a very, very long way, and we're getting closer to hitting our sweet spots. Then finally we can stop the work in that area again. Notice some improvements in areas around Toxa and MK. It's very smooth with less frame drops, but Meduli is still really bad. Is there a reason for that? Yes, Meduli is one of the worst areas in the game currently, with some heavy, specific heavy assets, different packages in the level streaming that is simply too heavy. So we do plan to revisit most locations in the world and do further performance updates. And yes, Meduli is very much in the need of one of those sessions. What is POI upgrades? POI is short for points of interest. So the whole world Milan is getting points of interest in packs, pretty much. Almost every patch we've done so far includes several points of interest, and that is everything from lore-bound building structures, hidden things, caves, small things, larger things, with mobs, without mobs, with lore, notes, books, all kind of random stuff, and a lot of spread out loot. My dog is wrecking. And yeah, this last patch we actually got more than usual. I think we are around 50 points of interest in the latest around Meduli area. So yeah, again, every area of Milan is getting points of interest updates, and you will see additional of those over time as well. We added a tons. There are several, hundreds currently spread out in different regions. If you excuse me 1 second, my dog needs to be let out. She's going crazy. 1 moment. Okay, sorry about that. All right, let's see. So yeah, points of interest going in every now and then, and a network optimization is being done in the background, and we have the usual polish, bug fixing, quality of life, and a few area of focus when it comes to feature, etc. And yeah, we got some of the human finally in place as well. The human gifts updates that make those unused gifts more useful and valuable. I think the world is big enough for inflow of players on Epic release, so we are pushing the boundaries when it comes to player population on Milan in total, and we expect to handle a lot more players than we had so far since the Steam release, where we got run into some heavy issues with everything enabled. This time we have made huge progression, and we're aiming for some impressive numbers. We don't mention any numbers until we have it more confirmed and we are comfortable with those numbers. Next to that, we are working on plan B. If we see that again Q is getting into a unacceptable level, obviously we need to look into the plan B step and have that prepared in place already. Yeah, we got reports of some of the tracker updates when it comes to gear loaded on players. The team have been working on that. I don't know the exact status right now, if it's already fixed or what the status is, but they got the report, so they are fully aware. So yeah, we're getting closer to Christmas. Time have been flying incredible fast. Already December, which is insane. So of course we are planning a Christmas patch. Sometime before Christmas is the plan, which includes our tradition. Krampus is coming back to town, and we have some other goodies planned for along with that. So yeah, we're working on that one. Nastronaut, thank you very much for the subscription. 16 months, that is impressive. Thank you. So we will revisit the Diva system as we mentioned before. After our big milestones we need to reach in a good state first of all. Have that good solid baseline, and then we'll continue from there. Human change is awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think they obviously get much more interesting and have something juicy as an option that they were lacking a little bit before. Mercy by Wilds, thank you for the bits. Need a different region servers. A lot of players don't play because of the high ping, makes it unplayable against European guilds. They have more time to pair and kill high ping players too easily. Yeah, that's a never-ending debate and discussion when it comes to the real differences. And yeah, we'll not go over them again at this point. I've covered them in several streams. Intention get bounty hunted, that's up to the players' pizza party. So obviously if you have murder, you have to expect to be bounty hunted, right? That's your options and the player options, nothing we do. Volty HD, Henrik, I just wanted to say I recently bought this game and I'm enjoying it. Only comment from me is I hope you add more PvE stuff for us solo players, small groups to do. Thanks for an amazing game you made. Mad Chad. Thank you very much, and I'm glad that you enjoyed so far. And yeah, like I said, every points of interest patch adds more PvE stuff, solo content to larger. And yeah, for sure. I mean, we have plans to keep expanding on PvE, dungeons, and more of that. So along with the Beast Mastery patch, I mentioned it a little bit before, that actually also pushes the PvE experience forward greatly. Every single species in the game gets new abilities, which both the AI can use, but also Beastmasters can utilize. So it's gonna spice things up and add a more interesting PvE experience, pretty much. And that's again something that we want to keep on expanding on in the future as well. And yeah, you've seen the graveyards, the sewers in MK that we got a lot of great feedback from so far. Obviously those are low tier dungeons, which is perfectly fine for solo and small groups as well. Show us the siege weapon, Henrik. I will in a moment. Yes, there will be demons again, but in a bit different way than we had in the first game. Sacrifice, thank you for the subscription. Hi Henrik, great job on the patch. As there is no mention about comment changes on the roadmap, will we have to deal with plate wearing ballerinas till after epic release? Wearing ballerinas? Plate wearing ballerinas? I'm not sure I follow with that. Or do you mean the spin combat with plate? Just to be sure what you mean. Three wolves and empty chest is not point of interest. No, I agree. That's not part of the points of interest, right? It's just spread out random loot mobs as the whole game should have. We're also working a little bit more on the updates when it comes to all the loot systems in the world that we're gonna refine a little bit for the Epic Game release. So there will be a more clear reward when finding these. We have them on a very slow respawn rate for very specific good reasons. But that will change a little bit as well down the road is the plan. Pocket full of games. Hey, they are brand new to this game. Play Mortal Online for about a month when it first launched. Looking to perhaps buy Mortal Online 2 and get into it. Yeah, recommendation on best ways to get started. What is your favorite weapon to use? Pocket full of games. I'm sure the whole channel is full with some really good feedback there, or you know, it's all personal preferences, I would say. Two-handed sword is always you know, solid weapon, easy to use, quite forgiving when it comes to handle hits, good damage, good reach, all around pretty friendly for new players to start playing around with. And then we have the players that love the axes, the hammers, to, you know, hit those sweet spots with specific damage types and functions. We have dagger users, so there's something for everyone. Spears is also quite noob friendly. So it all comes down to personal preferences, I would say. And take your time, experiment with your build on Haven, and do not be afraid of re-rolling into a new clade until you find a clade you're most interested in. And yeah, just read up on it, try some of the character builders, and ask around. There are a lot of veterans out there that have very good suggestions and tips and feedback. So yeah, that's just, I guess, what I can add to it. MK servers are amazing fun. Bane Spike TV, that's awesome to hear. Sacrifice, thank you for the subscription, 20 month. Holy cow. Yeah, shit. I'm already behind, guys. So sorry. I'm gonna try to jump down a little bit more quick here now, so I can be up to date. Okay, I'm jumping down here a little bit. Okay. All right, let's take a look on the next point here. So, as mentioned in the description, we have a new siege weapon that is really cool. Pierce, thank you for the subscription. Thank you for all our work, Henrik, and the team. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, yeah, we've been working on upgrading our siege mechanics and weapons. So we have this old traditional siege weapon called the Scorpion Ballista in Modern 1. This time we wanted to make it more fun, interesting, and effective. And I think it looks insanely good. So I'm gonna show you the final mesh. There may still be updates to its, obviously some of the function that may need tweaks on the actual mesh. But design-wise, we are quite happy with the result we have so far. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's jump over to... So to show it the whole in its glory, it has an insane level of quality. We're preparing everything for Unreal 5. Utilize nanites where it's possible. And this little beauty is our new Scorpion Ballista. It's a heavy stationary version. There will be multiple versions on quite a few of our siege machineries. Thank you for the bits, Nightmare for Shell. So this is so obviously this is extremely heavy damage, and it actually have as close as logical function as possible. Yeah, so you sit in this chair, so you have to mount it pretty much, and you use these gears and mechanics and pull levers to actually rotate it, aim up and down, and it's really cool. It's really cool. And you need assistance to load it with a heavy bolt in the front section to be effective using it, rather than just running back and forth as being new, a lone player. So yeah, so our team have been working very hard on finalizing this from scratch, and we're trying to utilize the functions in the system to utilize a lot of different machineries. We're using a lot of the code functions. So let me show you some close-up of this beauty. So this is closer to where you're sitting when you are sitting in the seat. And you can see you have a few levers here. One is to rotate left, right, recharge the actual bolt mechanic, and go up and down. So very interesting mechanic behind it. And we try to make it realistic based on some logic, but obviously it's only possible so far, right? And there's always a little bit magic tied to it because it's a game, right? Is the right part a share? Yes, it is. It's a huge machine, as you can see. So that share is a normal size share. So from a large player to a small player can sit in it. And those levers are adjusted for the size. So it's a big machine. The seat is not small. Let me show you some other close-up. Close-up from the front here. As you can see, there's a lot of nice details that went into building this monstrous machine. It's another game. Please don't break my immersion. No, of course, it's not a game, right? It's a Second Life. Let me show you a little bit more. So this is a close-up of the share section. So as you can see, it has a lot of nice details when you sit there. I don't have anything I can put in place just to show the scale, but when you see the share, you get an idea of the size, right? Let me show you a little bit more. Some of the interesting mechanics that allows it to rotate. Again, we talked to engineering that build mechanics, all kind of mechanics that gave his input on how you can make it logical for real, rotating this and move it around. And he went crazy and thought, holy shit, this would be the most fun thing to do as a full-time job ever. So he was very happy to consolidate on how we can make this, follow some kind of real-life logic. How much did these assets cost? Come on, I just said that this is Mortal Online, completely custom made from scratch. So stop with that bullshit. We've commented that several times. So this is a Mortal Online specific assets that our in-house artists create from scratch. And like I said, we used real engineer, mechanical people to help with the mechanic. So you see these bolts rotating and moving to make it interesting and, follow some logic, just like in real life. Yes, so this can be put on stationary grounds, but also up on wall sections. So you can use it both for defense and offense, I would say. But most likely, defense will be a more suitable, I guess. But you never know. It's just the players. It's up to the players, right? Let me show you from the front. If you see this, run. If it's loaded and have a driver in the seat, because if they hit with this bolt, it may mean instant death if it's a perfect hit, because we're talking about a real heavy bolt that is very large and very dangerous. And I have one more picture of it. Again, a little bit up close, showing the front section with its awesome details. Obviously, damage is something we need to play around with quite a lot to see how efficient it is to use aim, how easy it is to hit a running target, etc. To try to find that sweet spot, and depending on those difficulties and challenges, the damage will be tweaked to fit that. Obviously, it will be very effective against other stationary machines. When people are using those machines, this could be a very deadly defense weapon to counter those weapons. No, ping doesn't have any relation whatsoever to using this machine. Yeah, so like I said, there will be several types of siege weapons, and they will have their pros and cons in different ways. Some will be very effective against buildings, doors, walls, and some may be very effective against other machineries. And then, of course, some will be very effective against large animals or obviously players also, soft targets. So we work on trying to offer a good amount of variation from quick machineries that you can use frequently but less speed, to heavy bolt action or catapults, traditional big damage, AoE damage, etc. So what do you think about it? Does it look nice? I think it looks awesome. I think the artist made an amazing job creating this one, and I'm very happy with the result. Now obviously we need to make sure it works smoothly and get balanced. Looks fantastic. Does it have cup holders? I'm afraid not. Looks great. Top wagons can mount these bigger weapons. What? I mean pulling these machineries. So this is a stationary version, as I mentioned. There will be another version with wheel bases, so you can actually be around 4 players holding a handle and actually pushing it forward, or in any direction. So there will be stationary ones, and there will be mobile versions. Yes, many of these weapons will be possible to place on ships as well. So they will also be used as fair ship siege and weapons. When the siege machines are going to be. So we're working on the Scorpion versions, which is this one. More traditional catapults and trebuchets. And then we are looking into like those hot oil you just dump in a way next to a wall section or so. So those are the first pack we're looking at and we'll experiment with. So one of the big change from the first game is they will be more gameplay friendly. What I mean with that is that you actually mount them and use them as turrets, like if you were playing Battlefield, mounting a tank and actually use that turret. So a little bit more gameplay friendly, specifically this one, where you are mounted and can sit there and wave those things to aim around, up and down, left, right. And if you want to be mobile and effective, you need some of your friends to pull it to add that manpower to the machines. So we try to promote, again, teamwork and player skills in utilizing this as effective as possible. So yeah, and then of course the future will tell if we need to expand on this, any input from the community, what you would like to see, what may be missing, and what may fit to add in future packages. So trying to hit a good base pack line, starting with the Siege and TC. And then, like I said many times, it's endless pretty much on what we can keep on expanding in these fields, because there's no limit. It's just what do we need as players, what do the community want to promote those functions further. Oh, but I'm totally seeing this thing being brought into a dungeon. It's quite large, right? So there will be specific zones where you visually practically see that you can't fit this here, and therefore it will be blocked. So there will be some limitations on how you can move them around in the world. I would like to not see this gaming chair. I think it looks like a gaming chair, or what do you mean? Looks like a quite noble chair with some soft material for your back. So it's not just a crude wooden stick. And it adds some nice detail to it also, I think. Can you use this in boss fight to siege house? To siege boss fight or to siege houses? This one won't be the most effective weapon to siege structures because it's just a heavy bolt. You want more heavy blunt damage when it comes to sieging a house. So a catapult would be more optimal, or I was looking at wall breakers with man powers. So those heavy boulders or wooden things are more optimal for structure sieging. So this one will be perfect for anti-siege machines, other creatures, pets, players, stuff like that. By padding though, so like I said, this is a stationary one, so they're taking their time to add a nice defense machine that they can put on your wall sections to protect your corners in a keep or so, or even a stronghold, I believe, which means they're taking their time to make it stationary and you know, so you can sit there for hours without hurting your back. And we keep get balanced, hit points are below. Yeah, so obviously along with these machineries, when it comes to checking their damage and balance, there may be obviously overall when it comes to addressing hit points on several assets. We put one on a wagon, so we are building a wagon system that allows two things pretty much here. One is like a slot-based system, but also if there's a surface that you can stand on, you're standing there, and it just depends on if there's plenty of space for you or whatever that may be. And that may also allow us to add a specific type of siege machines that fit this space, and therefore also maybe, yes, mobile in that case also. A little bit too early to say exactly the rules around that, but we are hoping we are able to offer something like that, yes. Similar to a ship where you can place siege machines on as well. There's a few functions we want to cover for both wagons and ships. Regards coming with TC patch, yes. So we're giving you a solid start pack to allow you to build and construct your city with specific services from guards, banks, priests, so you can have the baseline for a city and set your own rules, who can use them, etc. Will these be paid with upkeep, or are they only there for a limited time? Can you have these as defense? Yes, if you build and construct one of these in your home base, it will be there permanently until destroyed. How is Siege differ in this version versus Modern 1? So there's quite a few mechanics that we are replacing, rebuilding. One of the thing is, I mean, it's not the main topic of this stream. I plan to have something more in depth in the upcoming stream, but just in short, you claim land in a different ways. We don't use the control tower as we did in the first game. There are also supply lines tied to each keep in the world that works as a key for initiating a effective siege against those keep owners. So cutting those supply lines is the first step to weaken the defense over time. And after that, that's when you can go for the keep. I'm also promoting player interaction, protection, and interesting conflict. So you will actually benefit from neighbors living there, and you want to convince them to show your alliances against you as the owner of the land, and therefore you can also expand your land further. Obviously, you have to negotiate if you can offer them protection, because if there's a border enemy, then obviously that person that lives on the edge of the border may write their alliances towards one or another, and obviously maybe in that type of conflict as well. So there's some interesting mechanics that we want to promote this time around. And also we noticed one big thing or issue in the first game was that there could be sieges lasting for weeks or even months. And when one side won and they destroyed everything else because that's what you did, then that whole other side usually ended up in a break from the game. And a large alliance or many guilds or large guilds taking breaks from a game isn't really good design for any of us, right? So we're looking into that as well to let players more easily get back into the game or get a chance back to try to rebuild or retake. So there's a more interesting promoted conflict without just black and white, all or nothing, and wiped from the game without any options. So that's something we're looking into promoting as well to make sure that, yeah, you can take a huge loss and beating, but, if you're motivated, you can try to hit back and get back into the game without being completely reset. Smasork, thank you for the prime. We don't have a date yet for the Epic Game launch. We don't have any official dates on any of our sprints. We want to deliver them when we can and when we feel we are ready to do so. But yeah, there's two big things that obviously we expect more players joining the game. One is TC. There's a lot of guilds and players that are having a break from the game that will start playing again with those patches because that's what they're interested in. And then of course the Epic Game release will also promote where we start a whole new level of marketing campaigns, influencers, and more new player-friendly content to start picking up marketing again, which we have zero on currently. Xfast, thank you for the subscription. I know weather is coming soon, but will the effect work with the introduction of it will be following. So yeah, we will have the heat system as it is, and we will have it before Unreal 5. And we made sure that we can support the same function already in Unreal 5, so that would be a convenient transition. This game's still alive. We haven't started yet, Wigglesworth, but yeah. We are growing and moving forward and improving, and we're slowly getting to the very exciting parts where more players already join the game and we pick up marketing and everything, like I said. We stop ballistas outside Melody from shooting bolts into town all day. So one of the things we all have on the Epic Game Sprint is zone rules. And that is to put in place security, balance when it comes to all these very critical components. So yeah, good question. Not growing, new players not coming in. Yeah, we actually get new players on a daily basis. We're happy with that, but we are not cranking up any, like I said, marketing until we reach a better new player-friendly state, which is planned for the Epic Game release. There are several parts there that is vital for player rejuvenation. We see a lot of old players taking break from the game in big chunks, and the majority have expressed we're back when TC arrives or whatever step they're interested in. And we get new players on a daily basis that are, checking the game out. It's still quite challenging for new players. We have closely followed the step from Haven to Mirland. And that step is a big challenge for new players. And this is what we're working on and want to have it in a different state for the Epic Game release. We want to make sure that new player don't get lost, don't know what to do when they actually reach Milan, which is a big thing that happens today. So everything is fine on Haven. It's very easy to run through that. But when they do hit Milan, depending on what city, they may just don't know what to do, and quite a lot drops off at that point. So that is something we're hitting with the Epic Game release as well. I'm a potential new player, so if I buy the game today, I can play today. Pocket full of games. That is correct. You can already purchase the game on Steam and play the game in its current state. It is persistent. But like I said, there are several areas that we working on to improve that will affect a new player experience. But if you read up and know what this game is all about, this may be already a game that you may be looking for, depending on your preferences, obviously. But we're helping that greatly with the Epic Game release, so new players get a much greater chance in getting introduced, understanding the game, and can get going without being lost when entering Milan. Will we need skill to use siege weapons? No. There will be bonuses for certain things, but there is no thing saying you cannot pull this lever, for instance. What is this TC speak about? Expansion. Yeah, so it's a big expansion to the game where you are allowed, or you can build and construct your city. So very similar to an NPC city, you'll be able to construct different types of buildings, hire guards, hire a priest that can resurrect players there. You set the rules if it's you only and your guild, or if it should be publicly open to any player entering into your city. There will also be promotion in having a populated, active city. You can actually make a profit in running a popular city, or if you just want it private for your guild and close it and seal it off for anyone else, there will be some options for that. So we're starting with a base pack for you to get going with your city, so you can live in that city with your friends or guilds, and you will be able to siege each other's, wage wars, and in the future we plan to continue pushing the boundaries and adding more options and services. And we're also very interested in hearing what the community would like to see being expanded on in this category as well. There's pretty much no limits how much we can add to this. One thing we do want to add quite early on, which we also notice a lot of players are asking for, is a Metroid system that allows you to fight for world relics that you can place in your base to get different powers and bonuses. And those are free to grab for anyone that want to siege and wage wars. So it's up to you and your guild to protect them, and anyone else can try to siege and claim them at any time. So that's a very interesting conflict that will be ongoing also forever when that system starts. And we can add more and more of those relics dropping from the sky. So it will be like a huge meteorite going down. You will see a smoke trail and fire from the sky. Everyone in the world on Milan will see this on the sky, and everyone can run there. And there will be specific interesting rules that obviously will promote player conflicts for those that are interested in trying to grab that one and then try to protect it and pull it to their base. So very cool functions that we want to prioritize with your help. Belson, thank you for the Prime. I really like the Scorpion. Yeah, the Scorpion Ballista is sweet. I like it a lot. You can talk about new housing options Sprint 4. So there are a few options that the players really want early on, such as being able to trade your house and demolish your house. So you have those options to rearrange your housing options in the world. We don't let our GMs to do that manual work, so we want to give you those control options. So that's pretty much it that we were adding in these earlier sprints. And then you will have more options when it comes to city construction, etc. in the TC patch. The cities anywhere or just around the keeps? So keep owners are the big landowners. They have maximum control and they can expand their boundaries by using neighbors and people living nearby. So those will be the, I don't know, kings, the big owners to compete against others. And then we have the normal citizen stronghold houses, etc., that are limited in some ways in terms of what you can control. But your area have great influence and power, especially for those that are, like I said, keep owners nearby. So there will be an interesting either conflict or trade, I would say, between these groups. So there will be something for everyone. If you want to go for the big bang, maximum everything, then obviously we have the keeps. If you want to be a little bit more anonymous, smaller scale, then, you know, housing strongholds are that way. What happens if we win a siege? So there are several steps we are still playing around with. Supply lines is a big key, like I mentioned before, for keep owners. And grabbing these, you can actually steal specific type of currencies like that we call prominence. So there are additional ways of gaining prominence, and that also acts as a currency. So you will be able to have a guild roster information on what your guild members are contributing with in a guild, and this is really interesting. We didn't have it that way in the first game. So that means you will be able to see this player are actively playing, but he doesn't contribute to the guild whatsoever. That's up to you, obviously, if that's good or bad, or if you want to, you know, whatever you want to do with that information. But for instance, if you set up goals as a city builder, or if you want to be a landowner, you need this specific type of currencies to expand. So that is a team effort, and you can gain this in a few different ways. One way is going out and do PvE. Fighting specific mobs will give you this type of currency points that you can utilize later on expanding TC and sieging. So there will be different bonuses and costs here, upkeep and costs, when it comes to running a city and sieging and cutting those supply lines or holding those supply lines. So there will be natural rewards in terms of those steps. If you manage, you win or lose depending on that. And when you have destroyed an asset, it will be in a pillage state for X amount of time, where it's saved from looting for a certain amount of time. So there's still a chance for the owners to try to recover some of that. After a certain time, it will be free for all. So there are different steps of how you can steal, profit, earn, or lose. Yeah, you can repair anything that is damaged. I've seen that TC coming tomorrow too. However, is there any way to designate guild members on the field of battle, like unique uniforms or guild symbols on cloaks and stronghold flags or whatnot? Yeah, that's a good question. So we have that feature on the our internal roadmap, but we're struggling a little bit with obviously the time. We don't want to push too much on the table. But yes, I agree that it is a very high value to offer player guilds to design their own guild emblems, their colors, dye your stuff with colors that you invent. Those colors, you create them your own. So you can make a really unique guild soft clothes banners. There'll be a few different options where you will be able to apply dye the colors, but also where you can put the guild emblems, the logos. We want this obviously as early as possible, because we know how cool it would be to promote your city, your guild on the field. You identify your guildmates better. So yeah, there's a lot of win in that feature. But we need more coders, more manpowers. So it is on the close roadmap, and it also depends on how we add developers to the team, if we find the right developers, so on. So we are looking if we are able to add a few banners with specific color sets, so you can use those as an option. Obviously more boring, because they will not be unique design from you and your guild, right? So we're looking to see if we will be able to give some option at least to give some easy tools to easier identify your group. But yeah, I fully agree. We really want the guild emblem system with die system as soon as we possibly can. But it's a bit unsure when at this point. What types of siege weapons will come in one patch, or we add one by the time? It's a little bit unsure at this point. So we are building functions that can be reused on a lot of machines. So depending on, so these machines are completely handmade from scratch. We need to design them. They need to follow some logic. They need to look good. They need to have a performance pass being prepared for Unreal 5. There's several steps, right? So right now, I'm not sure how many machines we will have in the first pack. We're planning to have a decent amount, you know, a minimum, a good start pack that allows you to effectively start a siege, effectively have defense. So you have that. And we're looking to add them in 2 different versions where is suitable, like portable or stationary. And then, like I said, depending on those steps that I mentioned, we may get a few in a patch after. If they are not fully finished, we need more polish or stuff like that. They may be up in a follow patch after the first patch. So it's a little bit unclear exactly how many we will have in the first one. Like I said, we're aiming for cover, like I said, baseline, the Scorpion Ballista we have here, a catapult that is very effective against any structures, and have those in stationary and portable versions. We're also looking to use a trebuchet, and we're aiming to have those on the walls where you can drop hot oil in a AoE damage down the walls or at openings. So we're aiming to have those, but I can't say exactly how many versions of them and if they all go in one or a little bit spread out. But if we destroy structure in the game now, if we don't have these weapons, you don't really destroy a fully built structure. They are a little bit weaker in the construction state, but when they're fully built, it's just such an insane grind that, yeah, it's not practical to destroy buildings. And so that's gets enabled pretty much with the siege machines, where you will be able to do, you know, more practical damage. And like we said many times, there's always been a huge concern that, okay, so whenever siege happens, does that mean I will always lose my house? I'm a nobody. I want to live here, do my business, and I enjoy these things, but will I lose my house? We are aiming for that. It will be a costly process with resources, money, and time to destroy assets. So it shouldn't be something that, you know, look at this house, let's destroy it. No, it should be more like, okay, we really hate these enemies, or they are occupying our lands, they refuse to leave, let's siege them. Or, you know, this guild have claimed anything we want, you know, like the future Metroid relics, or they have just a location we really want. Obviously, those are the more logical reasons to start a siege, right? Is it possible to bring horses into Haven? No. We don't have any horses on Haven. I didn't make all special projectile, please. We won't make all projectile based, but a lot of the coming schools now, most of them will be projectile based. Elementalism, for instance, the next big school will have all projectile based, pretty much, with some specific rules on some of them. Can we have the MO1 crim system, please? So we got a lot of complaints over the years. It never ended in the first game. So it's obviously a huge challenge to have a perfect criminal system in a game like this. And where do we want to have the baseline. Some people want nothing of it, some people want everything of it, depending on people's playstyle, right? We try to expand and make it a little bit more interesting and deep in Mortal 2 compared to the first game. And we want to utilize bounty hunting and assassinations features, which people are loving so far. The small amount of content we have to test bounty hunting works, and people enjoy it. But obviously we need to, now when we know that, okay, this will work, now we can add rewards and content and functions and options to it. So all those systems ties to the criminal system. And the last step in the sprint, the Epic Game release, we also get the very important security and zones added to the game world that ties to the crim system we have today. So there's a lot of big important steps that we need to have the crim system work fully as intended in a larger scale and over time. And obviously with TC, if you don't want to participate in any of that, build your own city with your own rules and you can ignore it completely, right? Don't give in to the Care Bears. That's not really the topic here. I would say more that, as we said since day one, we need a security and start for new players, because that's how we grow the player population. We can't just, have the game for the one so far and not expect to expand and grow the player population. So obviously we looked into many games that are in a similar category, Ultima Line, Even Line, with the security system they have, and try to refine it as good as possible for this game. So security in starting areas is a requirement for the game to grow. And then it goes out to No Man's Land. That's also what we're adding. So far there is no No Man's Land, which means you can always be reported for crimes, right? But we will add a lot of areas in the world out from new player areas where there will be, it doesn't matter, there's no crim status. You can murder and there will be no report or flagging based on that, because you're in No Man's Land. There's no witness, no nation that decides the outcome. So there will be a little bit of everything added when it comes to both security, but also more risk areas. Henrik, Mr. Few Streams, went to say great, amazing, keep up the great work, mate. Thank you, Twisted Fate. Any further discussion having Sudoku hosted in North America? No further discussions. We still have the options that we wanna, fully experiment before we decide the next step. There are still all options on the table. Playable cities can choose if they want to participate in TC. I mean, you can't choose to be siegeable or not. You will always be siegeable. But what I mean is you can set your own rules in your city. For instance, if you want to open gates, have NPCs, guards, protection, priests, and open for everyone. So people can populate your city, use the vendors and the systems that will generate currency for the city owners. So they grow in power. And in return protect and help your citizens that visit your city. That may be an option. Or you can obviously close it down or change the rules on the guards to say attack anyone at sight, only allow this guild in this area, stuff like that. So you will have the options to determine what kind of build you want, city you want to run. Yeah, lawless zones is what I meant, Pat Wins, with No Man's Land. But it was killed by trammel. Yeah, so we're not adding trammel. That's a huge different topic. If we add trammel, that means pretty much we add an alternate version of Mirland where you can't PvP whatsoever and even have, no collision or anything like that. That is a trammel version. We don't plan to add a trammel version. Mirland will remain in the same open rules for everyone being there. But we're trying to find a balance where those that want to try to avoid being sieged or being a PvP victim, there may be areas that are more attractive for them to venture and focus on PvE or whatever that may be, or join a city that is the outskirts of the island that tries to avoid conflicts, or you can jump right into the conflicts and go to lawless areas and try to benefit from those areas and be obviously a higher target for like-minded players. So there are several areas we want to promote player conflicts with as well. And we want your input in what areas you would like to see first after the Epic Game release, because we're getting into some juicy content here. Obviously, we add the baseline of a lot of powerful things, long-term content with obviously TC and the Epic Game release. But after that, we have several areas we want your input in. For instance, what is the next magic school you want to see? What is the next expansion you would like to see on TC or sieging? What would be the next PvE, PvP melee functions, the adrenaline system, the special moves, Metroid system with the relics. There are quite a few things we want to go for next. The question is in what order, right? Is your attention players just kill everyone they see? Is this how you envision your game? Is more like to just another BR game? No, it's not a battle royale game, and it's absolutely not the baseline just to, if you see someone, you kill them. And that's what you do. You kill to win, be the last man standing. This is a real living world, persistent, and it will run for many, many years. So many new features, content, assets, everything goes into this game, and it just expands and grows over time. New types of player interest will spark off depending on what features we choose to add next. So what we aim for is a free open world without restrictions in terms of PvP info loot. That is always a core rule, but there should be enough penalty or risk by just killing noobs. And one of the issues we have is that right now you can go to any starting location and start killing noobs. That is true, right? And that isn't very exciting for the PvP players. It's not very rewarding. And obviously for the new players, it's just a bad experience. So obviously that is something that we have commented on before, that is not really the start vision for new players to experience. And there may be a lot of players that just quit the game and they don't even know that this could have been a favorite game of theirs if they manage to survive that step or join a guild or whatever that may be. So that is why there's a lot of important work to be added in the Epic Game release sprint, which is zone rules that promotes and protect new players in their areas, patrolling guards, paths, etc., so they can get comfortable and learn the game near their starting areas, somewhat safe. It will never be 100% safe, not even in cities, but there will be very high security in the cities. We don't mean players to just murder new players in cities, especially the starting cities, I mean. And then outside of the cities, there will be low security, just like in EVE Online. And then further out, there will be zero security, lawless zones, pretty much. That means nothing happens if you murder someone there. So we're trying to add that grade of variation to introduce new players, get them into the game. We're also adding a very much upgraded nation and task system that allows them to do a little bit more what they're used to, coming from Haven and many other MMOs, but not in a classic quest-based, when you're the hero and bring them all this crap. So here you will be able to work for the nations instead. And while you're doing that, you get introduced to different things and maybe more excited for the game and adapt to the game and learn that you can die and lose things very easily, but you can also get them back or replace them or buy them or craft them very easily and get back to the action. And then you may be tempted in going out into the lawless world that is, big risk, reward, and anything goes there. I hope that makes more sense what I'm trying to show, what the vision is for when it comes to players with different preferences, pretty much PvE or non-PvP or non-PvP focused. Tan, it's winter here. How the hell do you get up tan in the winter? Too silly, too silly. I'm falling behind here again, so... If these are going to be placeable on strongholds, what will the player's defense when strongholds cover the entrance to towns? What will the player's defense when strongholds cover the entrance to towns? Maybe too tired to understand what you mean here. Do you mean that you placed a stronghold close to a town and put defense on them? What do you mean? Sorry. Yeah, so we will have fire arrows as well. So any archer can use fire arrows to also be effective against pretty much all wood. So those can be effective against wooden siege machines as well. I mean, there's endless amount of what kind of cool machinery, straps, etc. we could add, right? But we need to be reasonable when it comes to the time frame to deliver this a solid base pack to start out with. And then, like I said, depending on the interest of the player base, what we'll like to expand on in the next upcoming patches. We have a trap system that we support. You know, it supports a lot of functions, but obviously we need to refine some of the special rules when it comes to how you add traps around your city or just out in the world. But we have a system that is in place for it, but we need to refine specific rules, and that ties to your character skills as well. You will be able to be a assassin and trap maker and use traps both in PvP and PvE, but also obviously have it in city sieges and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm way behind, guys, so sorry. I'm gonna jump down a little bit here. I'm a little bit more up to date. You'll be able to raid any time of the day, or will the keep or stronghold be safe till a designated time of day? No, there will not be a limit or agreed time limit when it's up for siege. We never really like that concept. It's very artificial and non-mortal. So we want it to be free for all time. But there will be components that kind of enables a proper siege. So for instance, again, every keep have nearby supply lines. And as long as the keep owns and rule these structure and sites, they have a very high defense value on their city and keep. So it's not practical to go there and start sieging, because it's gonna be an extreme grind, I would say. So naturally you would go for those 2 supply lines, at least one. And obviously that will trigger alert towers if the keep owners have those in place, so they have to go there and defend. So, and that's something we want to promote, right? Player conflicts, that means exciting hit and run, back and forth, and small skirmishes, instead of just all in, all out. So if you lose these supply lines, over time your defense value will weaken, because your supply lines is being cut, and it has a logical explanation behind that. Which means that's when your window is more effective and the player is fully in control of that window. So I think that is a much more mortal-like siege window or system that promotes that with some logic. I hope that makes sense. Can we get temporary placeable walls to protect from a defending siege engine? So assaulting players can hide behind and shoot arrows, maybe? You mean as an offender to play something? So that's something we are looking into as well. How do you siege, both offensive and defensive, right? Obviously, we want to make sure that is balanced. It was a little bit the opposite in the first game, where there was always a bonus for the attacker and very difficult to be a defender. There wasn't really defensive mechanics in place. And we want to obviously balance that better this time around to give both sides good use for defending and sieging. And again, we can't add a crazy amount of different options here when it comes to what kind of options we have when it comes to sieging. But we have a state where you engage in sieging, how you build and construct this, and what kind of option you have on your side as well to defend that, obviously. Evening. Yeah, so okay, Sarah, I understand what I mean. So along with the security zones we're adding in the Epic patch is, like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, every starting city, capital in the city, is high security, and out from that would be medium security to low security, and then lawless zones. So obviously, if you're building in those medium zone areas next to a capital, if you do offenses there, that will obviously be against that nation, and you will be in pure hell living there. So that's your obviously decision, right? Or it can just be friendly and open for everyone, and there may be no conflicts. So that's what you need to keep in mind if you want to close a transport port to the correct nations. You're pretty much declaring war against that nation, and you will have both guards and players against you. So that will most likely wreck your assets. Didn't I get a haircut? No. No. I mean, it was quite a while ago. I tried to keep it civil. MK are lacking high security in all areas now. We are aware, and we have commented on that yeah, there are several blind spots in cities that have no security whatsoever. Like I said, starting cities, especially capitals, are meant to be high security, and then it goes down from there the further out you go. So yeah, you can count that security will go up in starting cities, and there will be guards patrolling nearby. There will be certain areas that have way less, but that's meant for new players, pretty much, or traders, or neutral stances. I understand now. Thank you. So we will see more guards then in and outside of town, like Murncur. Yeah, exactly. So again, if you play the EVE Online, you know a little bit what I mean with the security from 1 to 0, right? it's a little bit like that we're looking at. So all starting locations have 1 pretty much, and then it goes down to 0 the further away from those areas you go. So if you're adventuring around just outside of a capital, for instance, you can also count that there will be guard patrols, towers, and guards patrolling in some areas that you can be close to get some kind of protection or try to hide behind them if someone is trying to get you. Yeah, nullsec. It's a big important part to protect, especially new players, and a backbone for that, and give them a chance and let them, learn the game in a somewhat risky environment rather than just plain loss and quit. You see what I mean? I mean, we see it happen on a daily basis already. So we need to protect that part. It's our job, obviously. We can't just tell the players, be nice to the new players. It's our job, right? You get them a whole island. Yeah, and it works perfectly there until they go to Milan and they're completely lost. I mentioned this before. There's a huge work being added to the new player experience with nations, security, and the task systems. And this is how we increase the player iteration for a new player 10 times. And everyone wants that, right? If we can keep 10 times more of the new players showing up in the game, that's growth for everyone. The point isn't, about, oh, Care Bear, PvP, boohoo. It's more about where do you have fun, meaningful PvP with skills, risk, reward. We want to promote that as much as we promote new player experience, just as we promote PvE experience. Those 3 areas are vital for the game's future and growth. And we have player preferences that obviously cares about one of them or all of them, or a mixed, and doesn't care about some of them, depending on your playstyles, right? If you're a PvP player or PvE player, RP trader, or a mix. Are you all salty about player donation? No, I don't think they are. I think it's a misunderstanding also when, it sounds like Care Bear stuff. No, it's not at all Care Bear stuff. So when we have a better full picture of what we mean with these steps, I think everyone agrees. Because who doesn't want to have more players in the game, both as enemies or friends or whatever that may be, right? Yeah, killing noobs isn't really PvP, right? It can be fun for some people sometime when they're bored, but that's when we have failed to give them meaningful PvP, right? I mean, we see a lot of spice going up when it comes to conflicts in PvP that are fun and meaningful when we add components that support that or promote that, right? So obviously, that's part of the step when it comes to what would PvP players interested would like to see in the game. Obviously, they're gonna vote for heavy PvP functions, and there will be options for both PvP and PvE. It's not that we just work on one area all the time. I mean, everything in the game benefits from more players and a growing player base. So I'm quite sure 99% of our players, new and old, would prefer that we have robust starting experiences, proper criminal security systems, to proper meaningful PvP sieging systems. Something for everyone. It's a quite large continent, and for good reasons, right? There will be areas that may be more heavy investment for PvP, while some is more for casual trading or less reward risk content. So yeah, we're working on the Christmas patch that we want to deliver before Christmas. Depending on the details there, as I said many times, we may do some adjustment on the roadmap if we feel that something unsecured or rushed, then it's better to keep that one or rearrange it how we see fit. That's why we are careful with, reminding everyone the roadmap is not, put in iron, or what is the expression? It's something we obviously try to follow and cover, but we don't have any exact dates, and there may be some adjustment in different ways. Set in stone, exactly. Thanks, I'll drop that one. Red nameplates from other, please. So this is why we needed to upgrade from the old system, because it's not supporting the new content like bounty hunting, assassinations, nation conflicts. It's too out of date. We can't go back to the old murder system with red and blue coming from Ultima Line that didn't have the systems that we do have now, and we've had more of them. And we also had a lot of complaints in the first game. So we don't plan to go back to that. We plan to expand on what we have instead and make bounty hunting even more exciting, risk reward, assassinations for those that want to do the shady work. That's a plan. It's not carved in stone. Indeed. Can we expect to see new armor sets during the remaining sprints? So we have 3 clothes that are finished. I don't remember exactly what step is missing for us to implement them into the game, but we do plan to cover these somewhere. I can't say exactly where and when, but they are pretty much finished design-wise. They are light clothes, and it's also something obviously that's going to help us doing some of the city population work. Now they all use the same system as the players, which means we have pretty much only armors. So it looks a little bit silly when all citizens are walking around in armor. So we're gonna utilize some of the clothings, and that will also be obviously an option for the players. After TC, how long until you add in nation wars? Because the rep system feels pretty pointless without it. So yeah, so like I mentioned before, there are so many different features that the player base would like to have when it comes to player conflicts. And we can't just add them all or do them all at the same time, because it would be out of focus, right? So we really want to offer you the choices here. We want to create a community involvement poll discussion thread where you can choose what should be the player conflict focus in the next run. And then we will go from there. So that there will be a few options like nation specific conflicts where you sign up for those sides, to relic wars, which is awesome. I hear a lot of people asking for that one. So depending on what the majority want, I would say would be the first one we focus on next. So I'm not sure which one you would pick today when it comes to those, for instance. But we want to make that debate and open it to the community to see which one may stand out. And we pick that one. It makes sense, I think. Need to figure out how to make one account work. Everybody craft their own shit. What's the point? No, absolutely not. The majority doesn't craft their own shit. Players are trading it. There's a heavy trade that are growing. And there are a player base that does nothing but trade and craft. And they love being that role in the game. And that's perfect because that's what we want to promote. Player trade, player interactions. If you hate crafting, you don't want to experiment with doing alchemy potions, stuff like that, that's perfectly fine because then you can go to the markets and trade that with those that really loves it. So we promote all playstyles in a very beautiful way in this sandbox, and that's what we want. We all want it. And then, of course, there are always this little group that want to refuse to communicate and work with anyone else. If you feel like that and you want to divide your work within your group, that's perfectly fine as well, right? I mean, that's quite natural as well. If you're a guild, who does what? He's our armor crafter guru. He's our whatever that may be within guilds, right? But obviously, if we want to make a profit and get going with those new currencies, you may want to trade with other cities and players. Promote player interactions. Is that all my missing buy all items? You're hurting my business. Yeah, there's a lot of good request and quality of life functions we want to add to the broker systems to make it even more efficient. That's for sure. We can't work on the Diva system or progress at all or reach a conclusion at this point because it's not our focus. We are fully aware of the question when it comes to requests for having another character or the Diva system, but like I said before, it's very unsure at this point, and we can't spend the time on going through that design. We have built the game in mind for one character so far. That's why we completely rebuilt the whole skill system. We have the veteran system, we have the trinkets, and we have the player trade interactions we want to promote as much as possible. We have the reputations, investment in one character. So it's nothing we just take lightly and can rush out in a go and decide. So we need to focus on this first roadmap 100%, and then we can take a look on what is the highest concern or interest in the next roadmap. And then we will create that based on that feedback. Problem is, market is scammy and not playable if you buy there. The broker system now shows all the stats, so you know exactly what you're buying, right? So what do you mean? How do you scam when you see what you're buying or not buying? But yeah, it's lacking quality of life functions, that's for sure. I've got good feedback on that. I'm excited for the Mulvan and Pet stats in Sprint 3. How will the stats affect current horses though? We won't notice our current horses gain from 6 stack carry to 4, right? So yeah, every creature will be able to support backs over time. And its size and strength will determine the carry abilities, how much they can carry. Mike, thank you for the donation. Come on, Banana Mage Thursday get some love, needs some more. Is doing work, just need a little bit more. Do you need a physic for magic resistance or why is that request? What were we talking about? Yeah, so it will be based on its strength mostly, and since we're not getting the wagons yet, the big animals like a Mulva or Camparon is good transportation creatures. If we could buy, sell a full armor set. Yeah, quality of life stuff like that. That's one of those. Making sure you can find and scroll through anything you may need and want, and how you buy and sell them. There are several options we want to add to make that just more convenient. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff from you guys. Why are you ignoring us? Let us buy extra characters. I already commented on that, Merkaba. I'm not ignoring it. I just commented on it, and I guess I'm behind, so you already heard it, I guess. What veteran system? So we will enable a veteran system after this first roadmap. I don't know in what order, but it will allow you to continue expand on your character further. You can choose in certain ways if you want to expand within the action skill tree or in the professions or a mix thereof. If you design it for one character, then ban alt accounts. It's not really that easy. We can't really enforce things that are impossible to enforce, and making that a rule then would just be bad, I think. But yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, it's just like Star Wars Galaxies, one of the best MMO in all times, I think, and many others. We are very heavily inspired from that game. They had one character per server account also, and they also design everything based on the mainstream player, I guess, would have one character, while yes, a lot of the more hardcore players would go for more accounts, just as it happens in Mortal Line 2. The same thing happens, right? So no, I don't know, there's not just magical solution for everything here to be perfect. It's a tough one. But we notice heavily in the first game that people that had 4 characters or so on their account said that I don't even know my character name. I just scam on this one, I craft on this one, I craft that on that one. I don't like it, I need to jump in and out of them, and I don't care about them. There's no investment, they only have a few skill points, but I need them all, and we all need to do the same thing. That wasn't very good or fun. Now one character can do a lot more. There's much more value in them. So I guess more the common player will be very sufficient with that more expanding on one character depth. But yeah, there will always be the hardcore players that don't think that is enough and will work around that. So it's tricky. Like I said, it's tricky. And then there will be those that loves one character and will focus on that and don't want to distract with another one. And then there will be those that don't like it and must have different styles. So we hear all the feedback and we fully see all sides of it. And like I said, we will revisit the Diva system after this big first roadmap to see what could be done here, what is possible, what are our options to promote the game and protect the game moving forward. We can't do that when we are so fully busy with the big steps we have now, such as Beastmaster, TC, Sieging, and Unreal 5. It's big things, right? We need to be fully focused to deliver those well. I think it's time for the giveaway, indeed. We started, guys, before it gets too late. Explanation mark MO2. And we can get that one going. And then there is the situation. There are more than you could guess households with multiple players, husband and wife, brother, siblings, friends, streamer houses. There are a lot of people that play from the same household and even on the same computers. And that means we need to do a heavy manual investigation work to approve 2 players to play the game within the same household or any of that I just mentioned. So we just open a can of whoop ass. And again, we're a small indie company. We need to try to be careful here as well. What is reasonable for us to focus on? Because the only thing we have to spend everything we possibly can is obviously on the development of the game and protecting the game from crap. That's number 1, right? I know there's other games in the world that does that. You need to contact us to do that. But they also have 100 support agents to work with that in full time, and they are a multi-billion company. So we really don't have all those options either to consider at this point, maybe in the future. We plan on adding minigames on other elements that will require player skills to crafting, extraction, etc. We experimented with that quite a bit in the first game, and in some cases it felt good and cool and fun, but after X amount of time they were just macroed out and in ways where it wasn't as good and fun anymore, which meant all the valuable time we spent into them gets slowly bypassed and not fun and exciting anymore. So it's a tricky one. We want it, and we see where a lot of people would like to have it and see it, but you see the downside of it. Over time that slowly changes. So I'm not sure if we should invest time in that at this point. That's more like if we can have the spare time, then maybe yeah. I'm way behind, sorry guys. I will jump down a little bit. Star Wars Galaxies gave 3-4 slots of the wild. I played it up till they destroyed the game, where they gave everyone a free Jedi, and until then it was only 1 character slot. When I and the absolute majority of the players of Star Wars Galaxies fans thought the game went to hell, it was when that happened. So again, we need to be quite careful here, taking big leaps of decisions that have huge impacts without having the time to carefully go through that. Star Wars Galaxy was one of the best MMO, I think, in all time, up till what's it called, when they let go of the huge demand. Everyone want to be a Jedi, not only the 2 to 4 per server, which was meant to be. Jedis were meant to be rare, right? Then every kid in the world wanted to be a Jedi, so eventually they said, oh, maybe we're gonna sell a lot more if we give them the Jedi, so let's give them the Jedis. Everyone became Jedis and the game died. And then yeah, you know, core features. So up till the golden era of Star Wars Galaxy, it was designed to be 1 character only, and it was that until everyone stopped playing. I don't know if they tried more things after that when it was going down. Maybe one try was adding 3 to 4 slots. Maybe it was, but it didn't seem to help because the game died. What about Mortal 1? On multiple accounts, why reference Star Wars? What? Mortal 1 had multiple characters and it was designed to support more than 1 character. So no. And then we measured pros and cons with 1 character to multiple ones. We look at our favorite games, like I said, Star Wars Galaxy is one of those. That's why it's a very valid reference. And a lot of people playing Mortal 2 and enjoy it were Star Wars Galaxy's hardcore fans as well. Did everyone wants an extra slot? No, not everyone. It's quite a surprisingly big part that doesn't want it. But as I said, I'm not going to dispute people's preferences and that a lot of them want it, because that's true. I'm just, you know, I think we have elaborated, you know, all the big question marks and sensitive areas that we need to have enough time to focus on before, you know, looking into that, taking steps into that. That's all, right? So yeah, we talked quite a well about it. Like I said, I'm not saying no to anything, or that, you know, who wants it and who doesn't want it. I just mention what there needs to be considered before we can look into it. And yeah, sure, we fully understand it's not convenient to switch Steam accounts. We get that part. All right, let me jump down a little bit here. We got the giveaway started. Can we get name change? we don't want name change to be a common thing because of the pure nature of reputation, right? So, but obviously if it's something wacky or rule breaking, we have the tools to do it, but it's nothing we do on request. I want to change the name today. I don't feel like this name anymore, or I want to hide from enemies. It's part of the reputation, right? So consider your name and you know, play by that name. Like I said, we if there's a certain reason for it, we have to look into it. Omen Oblivion, please contact any of the staff or Rob or any of those guys. I can't read all my DMs, and it's impossible for me to track them. And in most cases, I can't help when it's in-game situations, because we have staff members that do everything like that. If it doesn't work in-game, you have the website support, and you have Discord you can reach out to. You can reach out to our community manager, Rob. He will try to help to see if something dropped or is wrong. So always go to any of the staff members we have for that reason. It's not good to rely on me finding that one DM out of hundreds and actually have the time to go through it and respond. And like I said, 9 out of 10 times I would not even be able to help, because I don't do those things in game or stuff like that. So I hope you understand. Normal siege weapons. I only had the Scorpion Ballista to show as the finished design behind it. And yeah, I think it looks awesome. A next gen Scorpion Ballista. T. Gallagher, thank you for the subscription. 12 month. That is impressive. What's gonna happen if the game die after sub launch? It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I won't allow it. And support and awesome feedback we got from a lot of players tells us that this game will do very, very much better than Molten 1 ever has gone close to. And if we get close to those indications, we are good. We are good. We are planning for the future as well. We have a lot backing us up. There are very exciting things in the upcoming pipeline. So I'm very excited for the future. And I don't see any, anything other than that in the near upcoming years. Merciful Wilds, thank for the bits. What happened if you hoot? What? Hoots, 100,000 players. Where did that go? They make region service. So I mean, obviously we have a few options, right? If things goes insane, for some reason the whole world wanna play again, and everyone starts. We're nailing all the content, and we get way more than we anticipate and can handle with the plan B. Now obviously we need to evaluate if that means we should open more regional servers that are their own world. It's obviously a step away from the one world, so we're always trying to look, can it still be interlinked and be in the same universe? That will always be the first prioritized order. But you know, obviously we need to consider those steps, and that's what I mean when it comes to preparing for Epic Game release. Requires additional steps of plan B and even plan C to make sure that we only have one good chance now to make a solid Epic Game release and have it prepared for a lot more players and new players, and of course old coming back, starting all the marketing influences. So obviously we need to be able to support a lot more players this time around to make a successful step forward. So we have all those options on the table then. Yeah, so we're gonna reach a number soon what Milan handle in terms of our server capacity. We are greatly surpassed our numbers, but like I said, I'm not gonna mention any numbers because that, you know, that can be misinterpreted or I can be unclear on things, and I want to avoid that. It happened in the past and I learn from mistakes as well. So but we're aiming for an impressive number that will hopefully have a sweet spot for Milan to feel heavily populated when it's, you know, hitting those numbers. But that also means if we manage to hit those numbers that we are so far looking to get close to, that means if we get a queue, that queue gonna move very much faster than it have done in the past because of the big circulation of players going in and out of the game. There's a basic calculation of how fast the queue moves depending on how many players there are in the game, playing the game. And that helps us to give a rough estimation of how quickly it will be in queue depending on that population and how large the queue is. But yeah, obviously if that is, we greatly surpass any of those numbers, so it becomes silly. Again, wait time, or, you know, stuff like that. Then we need the plan B option to be able to scale properly to let the players play the game. You think subscription will have less individual play multiple characters? Yes, for sure. There are many players coming from the stress test that have a lot of characters they're playing around with. They will not sub all of those. So it will be more concentrated, more quality attached to every single character, no doubt. But sure, there will always be those that have insane amount, I guess, you know, as any other game. But there's no doubt that the majority won't run all those accounts that have been here since stress test days. I mean by that is you guys have a plan B if sub option don't work. So subscription helps the game in many ways. Yeah, there will always be those casual players that are playing free-to-play games and they don't know that they're rubbish without paying, and they get bored of the game anyway after a few months when they capped out the free-to-play elements and have to invest 10 times more than a subscription-based model to actually compete on a normal level. It's very apparent and clear, and more players getting aware of this. Even the big streamers, Asmongold, everyone is talking about it and making that picture clear and aware for the gamers out there. So and so there's a lot of crap that gets removed by having a subscription. And our player base have a higher average age than many other MMOs, and most of them do have an income and are able to afford a subscription based, what is it, like a coffee and a beer, and then you have a month of enjoyment in a game like this that is not offered in any other game, because they sacrifice tons of the features we allow and they sacrifice that with microtransaction, pay to win, or other stuff that are forced to have a business model to make revenue. We don't sacrifice anything in the game. Quite the opposite. We give everyone exact the same high value, including high content, player-driven everything, and you pay less in average to access everything, including every single expansion. All those games, World of Warcraft, they throw out expansion every year, right? And that is to sell the game again and again and again. And they even have subscription on top of that. So we believe in giving a unique, the best possible sandbox experience ever. You only need to own it, as in buying it once, and have the subscription active whenever you want to participate in the game. That's it. I think that's a very good deal for a unique game that offers something unique, and it's not spammed with crap. No pay to win, no stuff that looks like rainbows because you paid for it. And we have to invent more and more rainbows in microtransaction games, fluffy stuff like that. And it does attract a certain type of audience, and we get more cheaters to get to cheat for free and try experiment things, invent new cheats. All of that crap we can throw away by a simple subscription-based model. So there's so many win on the subscription side versus free-to-play, aka pay to win and pay much more than a subscription rate. Does it make sense? I hope it does. No, giveaway haven't been given yet, so you can still sign in. Explanation mark M2. I'm gonna pull it in a moment. Love the game. Thank you, Hustler TV. Why not do a free public test to people on Steam to flood server and test it out? So, a logical question we all ask ourselves day one, right? Makes sense, right? There's a few problems with that, and I will do it one more here because it's a very good question and everyone thinks the same, right? Like, why don't you start it? So, a few things to consider here. First of all, before our Steam release, we did everything we could to stress test the crap out of our servers. So what could we do to maximize that? Obviously, is open the game for everyone for free to try it. We tried to promote it. We even marketed the awareness of this is a new sandbox game. Want to take the opportunity to try it for free and help us stress test the crap out of the servers. And we actually managed to do that in a insanely good level that many other can't as an indie company. We were blessed to have that step actually, because what happened is we talked to a few companies, Intel, Alienware, MMORPG.com, some big networks that have, MMO players. We reached out, asked if they wanted to help us, and they would. So we gave them, around, I don't remember exactly, 60,000 keys to promote the game. And it exploded. We got influencers, we even got Asmongold, Lyric, big streamers heard about the game at that time. And MMORPG.com, their website, their network died. They mailed me out. The owner mailed me and said, Henrik, this haven't happened to us before, but your stress tests were stress killing our network. So their website went down when the keys got released because everyone wanted to try the game. So we were just looking at it, was in shock. What the hell is going on? A lot of people want to play the game now when we're offering this free stress test. And at the same time, we said, holy shit, okay, we're gonna get the stress, no doubt. So with that going, we got the stress, completely chaos, just as we expected, because we didn't think we would get that many players even for our stress test. But that was extremely helpful for us because it showed so many issues and flaws in our different pipelines, and we instantly got to fix those steps. And we did. Every single case we improved and fixed, until we got to a state where, the hype, the interest went down a little bit. We have fixed what we could, and things just worked. I'm sure many of you remember that we're here doing the stress test. People were having a lot of fun. action everywhere, fights everywhere. People got hyped, excited, and having a blast. And we were super happy to see, it's working, it's stable, and we were running it for, we extended the time as well and tried to push it even harder after our fixes. And we couldn't get any crashes or any issues at that time. And we thought, oh, okay, we've done what we can, and the release maybe will be something similar. That's the only, speculation we could do at that point. So we did 2 of these stress tests in 2 different time zones as well. And the second one, we couldn't surpass the first number. So again, we couldn't confirm, other than, okay, it still works, we're a good place. And again, hoping to expect something similar with the Steam release. So that's one thing. We did everything we could to test the crap out of our stuff with the resources we had. And then, yeah, Steam happened, and we added another 0 on top of that stress, and completely new things broke down and went apparent for us. So yeah, it was pure chaos and a very tough period for us, the whole team. We worked, so we almost died without sleep, because we knew that we need to act fast and get this under control. And it took a while, but we finally slowly got in control. And obviously a lot of people got burnt, took a break from it, and some of them coming back, taking a look, following the progress. So yeah, so if we would start a separate server now where you have to install the game and log into a game server that is just a copy, it's not persistent. Sure, when we have something cool there, I'm quite sure a few hundred would show up to test it and help us. And that could be useful. But it will be less and less, because the thing is, QA and test is not fun. It's not meant to be fun when it comes to identifying performance and issues and bugs. And there's a lot of guys that, I want to help with that. Start a test server. We're going to find them in 5 minutes. We're going to help you. Yeah, some of them do help us for the first test session, and then they're gone. They don't want to switch back to the test shard. It's boring. It's a little time consuming. They may not have, the opportunity. And when we have some patches saying, please help us test this list, it's boring, and people say, someone else can do that, so I won't do it. And that ends up, we have no players on the test server. If large companies with a huge player base like EVE Online, if they can't get enough players to test on their new content, then it's going to be even greater challenge for us, right? So those are the 2 things that made it pretty much impossible for us to prepare for a large scale. And it's also going to continuously be a very challenge for testing new patches with our player population, because only a handful of players would take the time to do it, and less every patch. So that's why it was apparent for us. We had to spend resources and hiring a company that is professional QA testers. That's the solution. And that's what we have done. And we have seen a huge difference in quality since that. So that was obviously the right and valid move for us to do. And we see the fruits of that in our patches now. They're quite different compared to without that QA team in place. So I hope that makes sense and explains why we don't have too many options being a small indie company. We're not Blizzard that can click a button and they get 100,000 players to stress test their games. So it's a challenge being indie and small. So I hope that makes sense, and also why we can't just magically solve things with a test server or stuff like that. Yeah, you know what I mean. But like I said, we have learned so much based on this step, and obviously it opened up areas where we knew we had to create new tools to also see capacity in a new way to magically foresee even greater population in the future. And we have a lot of those tools in place. And so far, we have really impressive performance on our servers. And what you have been able to see based on that so far is the large-scale battles. I guess many of you guys here, or some of you, were part of some of those big battles after our large-scale battle optimization. Greater render distance and also no network bottlenecks with 400 players on the screen, which didn't work before. And that was also including a lot of players online in the whole world. So no doubt we can cover the greatest battles in the world right now in this type of game. And the next question is, how far will we be able to push the total population on Myrland? We haven't finished that work yet. Every patch we add have improvements in the total performance optimization. And I think we will reach an impressive number, but like I said, there's no reason for me to mention any numbers we are speculating at now. And hopefully we'll be able to see in the near future those numbers being, reached. Lyrics, I'm talking about the network, not the FPS. So 400 players, the network worked without any bottleneck or issues whatsoever. We did a 300 battle before the large-scale optimization, and the network crashed down on us. There was a queue on 77 seconds for actions, so obviously battle didn't work, so completely broken. Next time after the fix, we got 400 players and it worked perfect. Everyone reached out, was super happy, celebrating that. Great, finally we freaking did it. We can support large-scale battles without any network queuing or bottlenecks. The next step is, which we also commented on, to be very clear, the next part is FPS. That is your client performance. So yeah, obviously if you have 400 characters on the screen and you're running around with 15 FPS, that's not a good experience either, right? Because that's going to hinder your overall experience. But that's heavily based on the client performance and our optimization on the client. And that's not finished. So yes, we will continue to optimize the world and the characters further to support those scales with better frame rates. But that's a completely different topic. That's not like solving the magical impossible task, which a lot of the players thought. We would never solve the large-scale battles because no one else supported it. So why would we? Small indie company. And we were just working hard and hoped to be able to show it once. And we did, and people are happy. So yeah, don't misunderstand the difference between network and FPS. If the network doesn't work, it doesn't matter what FPS you have. You won't be able to fight or siege or anything. And we know that sieges will bring hundreds of players. So obviously that will be a completely disaster. If we release TC without the network optimization, people would rage because they will lose, they would die, they will lose everything, they will quit the game, they will write angry notes because they couldn't fight or protect or defend or do anything. It would be so bad. So yeah, that's why we need to do this quite boring but extremely important task. Fix the network, support large scale, and then we can add a TC and Siege, which allows you to at least fight with, perhaps crappy FPS, but you can at least fight. Does it make sense? Lyrics and company. I was told Discord and Rob to reach out to you. No, that can't be right. They will never tell any player to reach out to me. That's not the pipeline protocol for us. I tell everyone to contact support staff, GMs. If there's any issues with that, you can reach out to Rob, our community manager, and they will address it or put it in the right direction within the team or within the right staff to help if something dropped between shares. But they will never say contact me because I would never, it's not on the protocol. I can't help with it, and there's a 95% chance I don't even see the DMs. So no, please do not rely on that information. It's false. It's wrong. Yeah, there's a tracker issue in this current build that we have got reported that some of the times gear is not loaded correctly, and the team have been looking into that, and I'm sure they're gonna have it fixed as soon as possible. So much more network optimization is there before it can get Siege and TC in. So right now, in one area large scale battles we are fully sufficient in. We don't need more network optimization in that category. because we may reach 800 to even 1,000 players without network is going to feel slow again, which means, you know, there will be very apparent bottlenecks before that, right? For instance, FPS. You may run around with 2 FPS if you have 1,000 players on the screen at this point, right? So we don't need to spend much more network optimization when it comes to large-scale battles, but that's a little bit different from total capacity in Midland when players are spread out because of the pipeline of communication between the servers. And that is something we're still working very hard on and made huge progress in almost every patch, including this one that caused some network issues and caused a crash yesterday after the patch. And again, that we couldn't notice that with 100 players only when it reached around 800, 900 players. So again, something we couldn't have caught in a public test server, sadly. And that's, yeah, it's a challenge, and it's obviously frustrating for all of us that we don't have a perfect solution to, you know, handle that. But they fix it quite fast, so we're back on stability, and they will continue. There's a few more steps we want to take when it comes to the total capacity, because this is the key for Epic Game release. If we get a few thousand players, that's the key there, right? We want to make sure that we can handle an impressive number that makes Milan feel very alive and heavily populated before another continent will be needed. If I call you, won't answer. That is correct. How many times do you call Blizzard CEO for support or help? It's impossible, right? We get more and more players and customers every week, and we will have even more with the Epic Game release. So it will just be unpractical for me to attend to personal help. And that's why we actually hire staff members, right? Just as any other game company, we need to have the different teams and staff members doing their work to support and help our players, right? So yeah, never rely on sending me a DM and think that's it, now you just need to wait for a solution. That's not the right way. It will be a very high chance nothing will happen then. So please reach out to our staff members or contact support on our website. Rob is also an option if you're not sure. He tried to help sending that message where it needs to be, right? All issues direct to Henrik. Roger. Yeah, no. Well, I haven't played the game for 6 months. I really enjoy your passion for the game's improvement. Thank you very much, Sir Punk, Sergeant Punk. And that's one of the things as well, right? You can take long breaks from Mortal Online, and coming back, there may be whole new gameplay, new features, new areas that you may be super excited about, and you can enjoy the game again for a good amount of time. And then you may want to have a break again every now and then, jump back again, check out what we have for content. That's also how it's been always in Mortal 1. You know, a lot of players feel that after you really got into Mortal 9, there's nothing that gets close to it experience-wise. So they keep coming back and check things out. And obviously Mortal 9 2 is quite similar there. We have a huge player base, like, you know, over 100,000 players that have been following this project, trying it in and out in different periods of time, and a lot of those players are looking forward to certain milestones for Mortal Online. GMs in game are quick to help. They do their best, and we're also, you know, looking over all the tools and what is needed for them to make an even better job, to make it as convenient as possible for the Epic Game release. So we're preparing every single area, trying to identify bottlenecks, issues, you know, stuff like that, to again prepare and make it as smooth as possible when we scale up on Epic Game release. Are we getting Krampus? We are. We're working on the Christmas patch before Christmas, and of course we need Krampus. All right, let's do the giveaway. It's a good time. Last one showing up, exclamation mark M2. As soon as it slows down, I'm rolling it. Will the Christmas patch also be the next sprint? You will see, Bill Bonte. You will see. Please don't let Christmas Krampus event only be in one town. So the lore, history, and tradition is it's only one town and one house. So that is Krampus. The urn pulls a name, and that house gets looted and burnt. So that's how it works traditionally, and it will be like that this time as well. In the future, will there be a jail system to lower murder count faster for those with 1k murders? There's been a lot of interesting discussions around a jail system, and there could be a good design that fits Mortal Online. So it's for sure something we will evaluate and see if we want to take that step. And like I said many times, many of you guys have many good suggestions that fits. So there's such a good chance we revisit that, and it may be a feature we want to add in the future. When can we expect quality life items such as bag naming, stuff like that? So yeah, we have a list of, obviously the bugs we absolutely need to fix, performance we need to fix, and quality of life we would like to cover. So I can't say exactly which ones that will be covered in this first round we want to cover in a good state for the Epic Game release. I mean, we can always add endless amount of quality of life functions and tools, right? So we have to try to pinpoint these ones are really great for the game and they are manageable time-wise for the team to cover. That will determine how many and how much we cover before Epic Game release. And then over time we will always, try to squeeze some of those in where we see a good need for it. All right, it's giveaway time, guys. Yeah, I almost forgot. All right, I'm starting the giveaway. Let's see. Where is it? There. All right. Okay. Good luck, everyone. Here goes the giveaway. It is time. Love the game, Henrik. Keep up the good work. Hopefully we reach millions of players worldwide. Thank you very much, Mercy by Wilds. Thank you very much. And yes, we will. In the coming years, we will. Congratulations, Bold Rover. Bold Rover. Congratulations. Are you here? Is the question. Rigged? Let's see if he's here. Bold Rover, are you here? Looks like he is. Respond to our DM, and the giveaway was Mortal Online 2 Steam key. Old Rover, find a DM to me here on Twitch. I can give you the game. By the way, there's a discount going right now. If there's anyone speculating and think it's a little bit too expensive, we actually have a 25% discount running for a few days right now. So, yeah. All right, let me get a key. There you go, Bolt Rover. Enjoy that game copy. Are you a veteran, noob, or Mortal Online? One veteran. I bought but saw there's gonna be a sub, so I refunded. Yeah, I'm sad to hear that because I just commented a little bit about why there is a sub, and there's a damn good reason for a sub. And if you listen through that whole topic, depending on obviously your preferences when it comes to game and what you're looking for, that is a very important decision. And it's for the gamer's sake, not for our wallet. Because if we wanted to do a quick rush, pay-to-win model is quite effective. But we're here for the long run and want to build up something slowly but steady and be successful and offer you guys the best possible sandbox MMO experience ever without sacrificing any crap, no locked content, no paying for expansion, no pay-to-win, no crap. No fluffy rainbows to make you look cool. Stuff like that you need to pay for in any other free-to-play game to be, competing on any normal level, or it's just gonna die out for you. So that's the psychological model of a free-to-play game. There's nothing such a free game. You will hit the paywall sooner or later, and that means you will have to pay more than the $14 a month to be on a competitive level, or and you're gonna see a lot of crap and locked shit around you. It's not that type of game we're making. But yeah, if you are looking for one of those games that you want to just have fun in a few months until you hit the paywall, then sure, that's great. You may do that for free, right? So it's something to consider. And yeah, we haven't started the subscription until we hit the Epic Game release also, so it is free until then, for sure. Fisher Snipes, when we do the Epic Game release, that's when we plan to enable the subscription as well. So it will be free up until that date. And we don't have an exact date yet. We will announce it when we are more ready. That's cool, Bold Rover. So you are not that new to Mortal Online. And yeah, I'm a little bit worried for the gaming industry in general when it comes to MMORPGs. When I grew up with Ultima Online, and that was a whole new type of genre. It was pure magic, exciting times, and the future was just holy shit. This is something I want to do, and there could be so many cool MMO games in the future. Then WoW came and made it a specific standard, and then everyone tried to make WoW clones and then pay to win free, so-called free games came, and it completely changed the whole development, the gaming experience. And I'm so sad today to feel that there's nothing on the horizon that goes through to have the gaming experience at first hand, and the free-to-play quick money flux, secondary. I think it's very sad. And the more we see those games doing huge money on those locked content, no one dares to do more challenging games, and if players get a little bit too blind and they say, no, I don't want to pay a subscription, I want to play them for free, we are making it harder for those indie companies to try to survive and offer that golden era or something unique or different. So, for the sakes of indie companies and innovative, exciting games to be supportive, there needs to be, that needs to be supported. The salaries and all the costs obviously needs to be covered some way. So it is a challenge, and I'm a little afraid for the future when it comes to options for pure sandbox games that have the gaming experience at first hand rather than microtransactions. And it scares me a little bit when people jump in and say, when I read subscription, I left. Because that's one more support for WoW clones or pay to win games. And they can be awesome for a month until you have to pay $300 a month to compete. What the hell is that? Don't we see through that, guys? Come on. Those can be awesome and great, but we should have options. Come on. 2023 and we don't have options in this genre. I think it's sad. I'm a huge fan of this genre, and I've been looking and tried every single MMO since Ultima Line and Star Wars Galaxies and EVE Online. And I'm sad. Yeah, Path of Exile. I think it's a really good hack and slash game. I like it. I played it quite a lot. You know, coming from Diablo, obviously also. I think they did better than Diablo 3 for sure. And yeah, question is what the hell is gonna happen with Diablo 4. So, but it's a very different type of game and how you develop it. So, and you also don't play with the player interaction in the same way. You do your thing, right? And you can play with 4 friends or so. So it doesn't impact you at all when it comes to how you pay for the microtransaction. In a game like Mortal Online, when the full focus is player interaction, that's a completely different story, right? So I think it's very difficult to run the same achievements in a game like Mortal Online compared to Path of Exile. So yeah. Wants the giveaway. Bold Rover won the giveaway. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'm a dying breed that think this is better for the game. You tell me, guys. I mean, if the majority want to step into locked content, free to play with paywalls, and only whales support the games, I don't like it at all. But if that's the whole market moving over to that, you know, what can we do? The good thing is that I've noticed that we have an older generation. We have a lot of Ultima Line players, a lot of Star Wars Galaxy players, and people that, you know, can afford a $14 a month, that see the benefit from it compared to what the option is. I mean, many people have Netflix, Spotify, Disney Plus, Prime, and it's the same model, right? A monthly subscription. But of course, it depends on how much value do you get in return. Is it worth that money? Do you get something you like from it? If it's worth it or not. Obviously, it's up to everyone and each one. I mean, like I said, Kelly, I obviously investing 16 years of my life in this, not only my years, but all my earnings, savings. Obviously, I want to do this 200% as far as I can, and doing it as it meant to be, 100%, without sacrificing the game experience for the players. And I hope and believe there's enough support in the world that want a game like this, because there's nothing else to choose from. And a lot of people are tired of those WoW clones, perhaps, and can find some joy in this game. And the good part is we are a small company, so we don't need, you know, 1 million or 500,000 players active to get back that investment and to be able to keep develop it. We only need a few thousand, and we are growing. And I strongly believe that we are surpassing those numbers with a player base and a growing player base. I have very high confidence that Mortal Online have a bright future for many years to come, and it will just improve and get better over the years. How much will the sub be? It will be a $14 US, quite standard, just below World of Warcraft and EVE Online and those games, but very close to that standard is the plan. Will Haven be free to play? So Haven is one of the locations where we could convert the system to support free to play, yes. And that where it actually makes sense without interfering with the gaming experience. So after Epic Game release, we do plan to revisit the Haven system to support any new player can join Haven, try it out, trying to expand it a little bit so they get a decent experience over there, get to learn the basics. And as soon as they feel, this is an interesting game, I want to commit, that's when they can commit money-wise as well and join the real world Mirland. So yeah, that is actually something that fits and works. We evaluated that since it was brought up during the stress tests, and it makes sense. And yeah, that could be a effective way of marketing the game as well for all those players that are unsure or clueless about the game. So yeah, that makes sense on Haven. There needs to be some limitations, obviously. We don't want the players to fully finish their character build and then move on to Milan. So they will have a little bit more limited progression, and if they like what they are experiencing and want to go full out, that's when they can join Milan. So yeah, we plan to work on this after Epic Game release, and yeah, that could help also, obviously, make awareness of the game. We have no dates, loots on date TC or any of our sprints. We are very careful about that. It will just disappoint if we need to rearrange or polish more or tweak. So yeah, we give the roadmap to give you a heads up so you can see in kind of what order you can expect things. And past history will give you more accurate or estimates on how we deliver things and what pace. Home and Oblivion, please contact support. We have multiple support staff members that will help with your questions. If GMs are not responding, you can contact our website support or Rob, our community manager. Good morning, Bifsky. Will Epic Games release wipe this game? No. There's no reason to wipe. There will be new assets, features, currencies, along with TC and Epic Games release. So everyone start from scratch every time we add something new like that in the game. And this game is meant to be played over years. And players will take breaks for months, weeks, even years, and then come back. Just like in EVE Online, Ultima Online. And then obviously you may be out of date, but in no time, if you're a good player, you will get back on track and go for whatever you're interested in. Playing a game like this for 10 years, not everyone will play them regularly for 10 years, which means there will be breaks. Everyone will take breaks sooner or later, which means they will always be behind whenever there's a new patch of features, content, currencies. So there's no reason ever to wipe a game like this. What we do wipe is cheaters. So people can also feel confident that when you have invested a few years in this game, paid money for that period of time, and all that time, we are respecting your gameplay time. And obviously we don't want to steal that away from you and kick that player base in the ass, and wipe their progression and hard-earned work and hours in the game. So no, that will be a disaster to wipe and punish everyone. So I miss Ultima Online. Then you will feel quite at home in Mortal Online because it's heavy-rooted, inspired from that golden gem. And I agree, Ultima Online was a really good sandbox MMO. And we're trying to expand past that in new mechanics and features and having it more modernized, so we can hopefully also grow up a larger player base over time. Yeah, giveaway happened. Yeah, I had a whole streaming topic about cheaters and wipe and stuff, which, not having the whole full picture, we understand why some people would ask for a wipe, but there is no reason for it. It would just be very damaging for the game and in the future. Because every now and then, new cheaters arise, there's new software, new tricks or cheater crap, just like in every single online game in the world. It won't stop, and so we won't either stop either. So we will battle that, remove that, and do our hard work, investigate and making sure it's fair play for everyone, and remove that crap from the game. Wipe that instead of your real players' progression and investment. That's the real way forward. Imagine if EVE Online was wiped today. Holy shit. Instant death. Same with Ultima Online. Lyrics. Contact the GM and they will help you with that invisible item. They don't disappear permanently. They are hidden. And most of those are fixed. We don't get reports of that anymore. So I don't know if it's an old case that you experience here. We have fixed those in our upcoming patches. Or previous patches, I meant. If E was wiped, I'd go back. Yeah, but the majority wouldn't. In a persistent game world where you invest thousands of dollars and thousands of hours, and you're still progressing, earning new things, and worked hard for stuff, the majority of players would just give the middle finger if that was wiped when it's meant to be a persistent progression and investment. They never responded. If GMs don't respond, use the website support. If that doesn't help, you have Rob as a third option. They will respond. They have a rule and protocol to respond within 24 hours. And they have always done pretty much when we got report there's no response. There have been a response in most of those cases. But of course, there can be cases when there's an explanation of why. But those are the procedure, and I'm fairly sure you will get a response. It's persistent for a reason, indeed. You also have an in-game subsystem. Yeah. Want the response now? Indeed, indeed. We all want it now. Lyrics, yeah, the GMs will help or support staff. They have the logs. There have been cases of invisible items on inventory and houses. It have been identified, and most of that have been sold, and GMs were able to grab those items. We're going to rework damage types on weapon attacks such as axes and hammers, doing blunt damage on thrust instead of piercing to feel more immersive. That is a new system, and we don't have plans for doing that right now. No. What comes first are every weapon group's special abilities, which gonna spice up a lot of things and add a lot of cool options for every single weapon type. I've thought about doing a subsystem like in Albion Online where you still can play but don't get full access to anything unless subbed. I mean, we did something similar with Mortal Online 1 where your skill limits got down to 60 if you weren't subbed and you could play for free. And the big negatives, cons, are still there, which I mentioned before. A lot of cheaters and shitty players will, do their ugly deeds for free, and there will be random players that don't care about the game doing crap every now and then. So it will be an overall lower gaming experience for everyone in the game. We noticed that quite hard in the first game. So we want a player base that know what they're getting, commit to it, and getting a as good experience as possible, and we can spend all our resources in focusing on that player base and support them. So yeah. I'm going to add combat music like in combat mode in Ultima Online. We thought about it a little bit, but it has its cons where you're gonna disable it after a while when it gets a little annoying when it goes up and down like that. So we decided not to do it, and I'm not sure at this point either. We do want to add more music overall though to the different biomes and areas, to expand on that, and also improve some of the VFX sounds, impact sounds, to give a better experience overall. That goes before at least. So you want to know where milk comes from? Ask the Milk Guild. Thanks for your work, Henrik. Thank you, Ron Dark. You plan on adding a Jedi type thing to the game, like only a handful of players? Yes. I was a big fan of Star Wars Galaxies, as I said, and I was one of the lucky 4 on my server that unlocked a Force-sensitive slot, and that was one of the best experiences I had in an MMO, period, because obviously, for the obvious reasons, right? And the cool thing was that even though it was only a handful of players on the server, usually the active players got these unlocked because of the deed that were required. And that meant they gave a lot of joy for the players around them. Guilds, enemies, and hunters going for them. So a lot of players enjoyed them, even though only a few ones unlocked them. So yeah, inspired from that feature, I thought it was awesome. And we already designed our specific so-called class types that will be our Jedis. So yeah, the question is again, when, in what order do the player base want to have these features? That is a determining factor. How many want them? That's what we're gonna put them in a prioritized order. But yeah, that was awesome. And the whole experimenting hunt for unlocking it was just pure magic as well. So yeah, you will see something similar eventually in Mortal Online 2. But the question is, how many would like to see it earlier rather than later? There's so many features that are, you know, interesting for a huge player base. A lot of people can enjoy them. That is something we need to decide, you know, the order of things going into the game before we can go to these luxury, cool, unique things additionally. You had a good player base, but you ruined it. No, like I said before, we had a very rough release, just like any other MMO game in the world. We being smaller, independent, got many more players than we expected, run into a lot of issues, yes. But we addressed those issues, and we still have, you know, that player base that are looking for this type of game, and many of them are waiting to get back when we have fixed things and adding those things they're waiting for. A lot of the players are only waiting on TC. We said that TC gonna be added shortly after release, and that's the only reason they wanted to play the game. With the release, obviously we had to postpone TC. Not supporting large scale battles, we have to postpone it until those were fixed. We have fixed that now, and we need to reach a few more optimization on the servers. Then we will add TC, and then we have a huge group of players coming back that are just want to play for that reason. So anyone from those 100,000 players that have been on and off since stress test, any of those that were the slightest interest and enjoyed it, have a good chance of trying it again when we show that we've fixed those issues and that we deliver solid content moving forward. Because there's no reason not to, and there's nothing like this. If you're a player that wants this type of game, you know what this type of game is, you know that, you know, there's nothing else and nothing coming. But we may change that. We may see more games when we grow and gets even more successful, and, you know, more companies want to try to offer something like this. That would be great for the genre in general, I think. So we have a very good opportunity with the Unreal 5 Epic Game Launch, and we have connection with our influencers, YouTubers, marketing steps, that everything got on hold since the Steam launch, and all of that gonna open up again on a full scale with Epic Game release, and that should give us a new good chance to get growing faster. Number 2, getting Dragonborn Jedi's confirmed. How do I become one? So that is obviously the big secrets and big deed. We're gonna push the fighting system a little further, like in Mortal. So we're gonna have a few things that are gonna spice up our melee system completely. So now when we're getting surpassing a lot of things in different areas, such as, you know, more content, we have more magic. Melee is slowly falling behind, right? So we're gonna add every special moves for all weapon groups eventually. The possible adrenaline system. I want to hear you guys what you would like to see first in the game on upcoming roadmap, so you decide the order of things. Was a 50% bounty hunter, 50% Jedi. Was the best day in my life. Able to hunt and fight as a Jedi. Sad part was even I was hunted. Yeah, I liked Star Wars Galaxies until they changed the Jedi system and let everyone be the Jedi. Do you like or take any ideas from Final Fantasy games like Final Fantasy 11? It's quite a different game, right? Both in the style and fighting mechanics, the grind, quests, levels, all of that. So it's not the first option, I guess, we evaluate to see. Obviously, there are very successful large MMOs that we obviously want to understand and see why do millions of players enjoy and play these games, and try to tap into that without wrecking our core rules or making our game not a sandbox game anymore, or no, have that same core rules that we are always want to present. So there could be different features even for World of Warcraft, a very casual mainstream MMO that we are somewhat inspired of. I mean, I think there are some really good things like in World of Warcraft, doing a raid with your friends. I mean, everyone can enjoy that, right? Even though we hate everything else, we can always enjoy doing a good raid with our friends and having teamwork. That's very enjoyable and works great. So obviously, that is a good thing to look at. Why is that enjoyable, and why do people love doing that? And obviously, that's also something we're looking into when we do our bosses. You see new mechanics compared to the first game, and the bosses are more unique. You need to work as a team and figure things out. You know, that's a step towards that inspiration. We want to surpass that with even more advanced AI, with world AI events that you can't do in a game like World of Warcraft in the same way, but we can. So yeah, I mean, there's many casual mainstream MMOs that have good things in their game that we can be inspired from and see how could that transform and fit somewhat in our game. I think subscription system will scare away players coming from the Epic release, or are you planning to introduce it later on? We do plan to take that step as a common thing. So obviously if things worked perfect with the Steam release, the intention was to start it already there, and then we would have TC sieging, you know, the patches after. But as you know, everything had to be put on hold and pushed forward until we have fixed the core network, which we are very close to have finished now. So it's kind of like a redo it correctly with the Epic Game release, I guess. Obviously, we have a lot more content and stuff. And the big thing also, we identify a lot of the newbie experience since Steam release from Haven to Mirland. And we have identified a huge drop-off when they reach Mirland. And that's something we also are changing for the Epic Game release. So if things goes again as planned and everything is in place, we plan to start the free month first with the Epic Game release, and then after that, obviously, if those that want to continue playing will require a subscription enabled. And like we talked about in this stream already, there are many good things that comes with enabling the subscription as well. Quality in many areas for the game and development that we would benefit from. But finishing systems that are already in the game rather than talking and implementing new half-done ones. There's only a few exceptions, I would say, when it comes to the bounty hunter system. That was a big question mark. We didn't know if it would work, if it would be fun and meaningful, and that we could expand on it. We didn't want to spend additional weeks on having everything until we knew it's gonna work. It was a scary move, and we also designed a criminal system based on that. But when we released it, we got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people enjoy it and do them every now and then and enjoy it. It's just that, yes, we are missing component options and rewards tied to that. That makes it feel, obviously, half finished. So that we know, and obviously gonna take care of as soon as we can now when we have that confirmed. So we plan to support VR, yes, with Unreal Engine 5. It's integrated in Unreal 5. There are some work we need to do when it comes to rendering the user interface, for instance, and some other depth issues with VR. I can't say when we will do this, but it's fairly easy just to make the render enabled. And then, of course, depending how far we want to push it, when it comes to using controllers and stuff, that's a whole new ballpark, which we won't start with. But yeah, eventually we want to support VR sometime after the Epic release. Release cleared gifts and skills. So we are obviously still fixing bugs and polishing. That doesn't just stop. We have been for quite a period of time just focusing on polishing and bug fixing, which I stated in my last summarize stream when we shared some data on that, which have made a huge impact on the game and for the GMs. We still have a list of things where we know these are the secondary most annoying, which we want to cover before the Epic Game release, yes. But gifts broken, I'm not fully aware of. I'm sure if it's reported, I'm sure the QR team have that in the pipeline already. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to show that we are actually on the last point here. Yeah, there's some option with the bounty hunters, like distance, reward, stuff like that we gonna add. Paralyzing blow. Fix the dupes. We are fixing every single one that occurs and banning them and removing them. Like I said many times, that's a never-ending story. There will always be new cheaters arriving, and the sooner we can enable subscription, the harder it would be for many of them. And we have expanded those tools greatly since the first ones happened. Something that keeps going in the background constantly. We just don't update it every time in our patches because of obvious reasons. All right, I'm jumping down for final just to see if we have anything final here. Will I be banned if I'm mod and play in VR? I don't know how you mean with mod, but never touch any files to be safe. We will support VR eventually. Be sure TC can be turned off. Like I said, we're gonna have plans in place for population and stuff like that. It's very important. That's why we have to push it very far, sadly. I know a lot of players got very upset because we did mention TC is meant to be close to the Steam release, but we couldn't. There was no option. We had to push it very far because we needed to make sure the network can support it, or it will be a catastrophe. So, but obviously the good news is we're getting closer, guys. Thanks for clarity and transparency. Danger loot. I strongly believe that's the only way forward, because, and I said it many times also, I also understand that, you know, when I do streams, we talk a lot of different things, and no, we always try to be transparent and explain what's going on at least, and then sometimes things goes wrong and bad, right? But I don't think there's any excuses or trying to hide behind anything. I'm always try to be completely transparent and open and honest about everything. And I also, you know, continue stream when we were in the worst situation ever with the release chaos, and I took responsibility for that as well. And I only think that there's nothing else we can do, right? We need to be transparent and just look at the facts and move forward. So obviously I'm also happy that people, you know, notice that I'm here for a serious reason, you know. Sales history. Yeah, a lot of good requests on broker systems, and we're gonna try to cover them all over time for sure. Joshi's weapon gun. I can show it one final time then. Here's the little beauty. Do you want to see a little up close? Front. The mechanical wheels ticking. The nice chair where you sit and use it. It's a beauty. This is a little bit more from your view when you sit using it. You're gonna see your legs down there, and you're gonna be able to pull those levers and load it and aim and shoot. It's a beauty. I'm impressed. The team have done amazing work. Yes, the giveaway has been given. On the topic of VR, will it only be visuals, or are you envisioning motion controls? If motion controls just arms or full body? The first step would be only the visuals, rendering it in VR and using tracking head movement. And that's a big step and really cool function to experience Mortal Online. The motion controls is a much greater project and require a lot more time and work. So that's would be later, whenever we have time for something like that. Like being able to talk to you. We're always excited for the new things you show us, but we can't stay on topic. Lol. We all have so many questions. That's true. That is true. And you know, that's fine. I do my best as well, trying to jump left and right to cover as much as possible. Yeah, giveaway have been done. So this one can be used for defense, but also offense. There will be two versions of it. This one is stationary. You can put it on walls or on ground. And there will be a mobile version with wheels. So you have to get your friends to move it around. So you can actually mount it while you have 4 friends pushing it forward, and you're just sitting there and shooting like a bastard. And they will all have their pros and cons, the siege machines. This one is very powerful against soft targets. such as pets, players, and other machines. Not as effective against walls or buildings, such as a catapult. But yeah, this should be awesome to cover on the corners of a keep, to cover those angles. If someone gets close trying to build a siege setup, you can start shooting those heavy bolts against them. Will alt character come with epic release? No, we don't plan to revisit the possible Diva system until after the epic release. Can I place it on my boat? Yes, you will be able to place most suitable siege machines on boats as well. I think our guys is working on the invisible gear bug that happened. I haven't looked into if they have fixed it already or what the status is, but they are fully aware of it since the reports. The good part is, I don't know if everyone are fully aware, but invisible weapons and Ghost Avatar seems finally fixed. Those two very bad bugs have been pestering since beta days and have been extremely difficult to identify and fully solve. So two very big important steps. Now we need to polish the last stuff and we need to hit the sweet numbers on the network, and we're getting ready for delivering some heavy content. Oh my god. Thank you for the subscription. I can't read those letters. But thank you. Never seen an invisible weapon. They are very difficult to catch. Snowball, that t-shirt sadly got sent back. I was 2 days too late. So I don't know if it's completely sent back or if they can send it back to me or if it has to need to be resent. Unfortunately, I was too late catching that one. We weren't expecting a package, so we failed on that one, sadly. No, the invisible weapons have been fixed. Now we have another issue we have now when gear doesn't load correctly. That they're working on and may have already fixed. Will all sizes and weights fit in that thing? Yeah, we build it in that in mind, so any height works. There may be some clipping, a little bit stuff like that, but because it's quite complicated to, consider the fatness, skinniness, height, and all that, different body proportions. It's quite tricky when it comes to having that properly, both on mounts and in machineries like this. So, there could be some clipping and some minor, things like that, but I think we will have a decent place. Yeah, if you can resend it, that would be great. And of course, I know what we're getting, and we're gonna pick it out as soon as it arrives. So yeah, thank you. Consider the fatness. Indeed. We'll love to see stealth mechanics. Yeah, we have the assassination profession, I would say. There are some specific skills and magic and alchemy involved that ties a little bit to this. And yeah, there seems to be a decent interest in that category. We possibly show animation progress regarding siege weapon in the near future. Yeah. So there's a big challenge with a machine like this. So we want to make it look cool, make it seem realistic, and actually function in a realistic way. Like I mentioned, we did talk to our engineering that are building mechanics like this with the bolts and gears. So there's actually a thought behind how it should actually work in real life, which is pretty interesting. Most things are quite straightforward when it comes to rigging and animate these because it's hard mechanical things, right? There's one big challenge that we need to play around with a little bit, and that is chains and ropes. So that is the only question mark when it comes to this. We may need to change some of that or make some of them fake and just static because of the nature of how that works with animation. That is the challenge with this one when it comes to animation. But yeah, the function rotating and all of that should be quite straightforward. So it is being worked on currently, and yeah, I will see in the upcoming streams when we go a little bit more in depth around these things. I may be able to show some stuff of that live as well. All right, I hit 3 and 20. I was aiming for around 3 hours today's stream, and don't want to get too late today. Will Archer be improved? So bows will do damage to players. They do damage to players. I mean, there will be additional fletching and options for the arrows, and eventually more bow types, which obviously will give you more options when it comes to that. All right, people. It's time for me to end the stream. So I will want to thank you all again for tuning in. Thank you for your questions, donations, subscriptions, and all of that as usual. Always a pleasure to hang out with you guys. And let's see if we can get a raid going. Let me do yeah, it seems like the Modern 1 forum have some issues. They updated site on the hosts, which broke it, and we haven't really had the time. We have it still. We plan to enable it. It just haven't been a high prioritized order due to a little bit stress currently. But it's still there, and we're gonna enable it when we have time. Let's see. Let's do the usual. Who do we got? Who do we got? Oops. Let's see. Okay. Cast your votes. And I will do a raid to that person. Ban trolls. It's always trolls. Never seen Leviking. No, I'm not sure either, actually. Looks like we may have some new streamers. Let's see, we got Avira is in the lead. An awesome RP player. He's been doing quite a lot of bounty hunting as well, solo, which is impressive. Daring. Alright. Cash grab. What a silly comment. Well, there will always be silly comments, right? Let's just focus on what's important for in life. Buto, I'm not so sure about that. Is, you know, truth. All right, you have spoken. Avira, it is. She bounty on me while I was AFK. She's a real expert. Major consequences. Oh. Dangerous to be AFK with murders on your head with a bounty. All right, let's do it then. I can't spell. Avira TV it is. All right. Will there be a patch for next week, Sprint 3? So we are planning a patch before Christmas, yes. And you will see what that will include other than Krampus. It will have some juicy stuff. That's all I can say. It will be a lovely Christmas with a little nice present from mortal to you. More of that later when we are getting close, so it's not that far off. Right. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and I will do a raid to Avira TV, and you can follow her on her adventure. She's an awesome player. Thank you very much, Sarab, and all right, have a good night, everyone, and I will see you soon again. All right, bye bye.